Hey everybody, it's Art from the AtZ Show, and today I'm answering the questions that you guys submitted for my Q&A. And I have to say, in the words of my good buddy Durant from Durant Cinema, your questions were freaking awesome. But I want to say a big thanks for all of you guys who took the time to ask a question, and I'm going to answer all of them, starting off with the one that I know all of us movie fans, reviewers, whatever you want to call all those people who love movies get asked the most, and that is, what is your favorite movie? Now for me, I think this one can be split in between what's your favorite movie and what you believe the greatest movie of all time is, because I don't believe that movies are subjective. I believe our movie tastes are subjective, and I feel that we can easily look at the production of a movie and go, yeah, this one was better crafted than the other one, especially when we critique the aspects of the final product. But of course, there needs to be a connection between us and those certain films that really relate to us in ways that it doesn't do it for other people, and that other movies don't do it for ourselves. And while the question is always phrased, what's that one movie that you love? I think that there's more than one. I mean, we have a specific craving for a movie when we're happy, or when we're sad and we just want to cry, when we want an action movie, or when we just want to laugh or be motivated. And to me, if movies are meant to be an escape, then your favorite one at that specific moment is whatever you can relate with. That being said, if it's not Space Jam, then you're doing it wrong. Arugi asks, what's your favorite Disney movie? And I believe this also counts live action, so I'm going to say Holes because I dig that song. Favorite Pixar movie? For me, I've always counted the Toy Story trilogy as one, so I'm always going to say Toy Story. That's what I grew up on. But if there's any Pixar movie that rivals Toy Story, I would say Finding Nemo for me personally. There was a couple people who asked, do you solely run this channel or does someone else assist you? And I do get a lot of support from my family, from my friends. I have people who do help me out on the channel. For example, MC Music does the music for me. AMC Drawings makes me look better as a cartoon version of myself. But in terms of editing and writing and, uploading, recording these videos, the audio, all of it, it is just me, and I'm pretty much my own assistant. Jose asks, what's the meaning of life? To watch good movies. Favorite movie of this year and why? So far, it's been Everybody Wants Some. The reason being is because when I grew up, I pretty much lived the life from the Sandlot kids in that movie. This is them all grown up and in college. Theo says, show us your movie collection. It's growing, man. What's your favorite meal to eat? Chicken tenders. Ever since I was a kid, I've always eaten chicken tenders. I'm pretty sure that I came out of the womb, passed on the bottle, and went for some chicken tenders and ranch. If Margot Robbie showed up at your door at this second, what would you do? Show her my Yu-Gi-Oh collection? How many shoes do you own? Anyone who knows me will notice that 90% of the time, I'm sporting these Nike exclusive flip-flops, and that's pretty much all I wear. Favorite Katy Perry music? Whatever she sang when she was wearing this dress. Favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie? Now, I think that he's got a bunch of great movies, but my favorite performance with him, so that's what I'm gonna go with, has always been What's Eating Gilbert Grape. He was like 19 years old when he made that movie. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. Watch it. It's phenomenal. It'll make you cry, and he just owns it in that role. Favorite director? I personally would say Scorsese has made a lot of movies that I'm always entertained by. I don't think he's ever made a truly bad film. Probably someone's gonna go on IMDb and be like, yeah, this movie was really bad, but he has made some masterpieces in my opinion. But now it's actually Uwe Boll, whatever his name is, because if he can make it as a director, then so can I. Pooh Zwanger asks, you're on a desert island and you're stuck with the most annoying companion, like Ruby Rod annoying. Ooh. A TV, DVD player, one DVD, and a random way of generating electricity. What movie do I use to annoy this person? Personally, I would say movie 43, mainly because not only is that movie terrible, it's worse because it has so much star power and had potential to be good, and then failed miserably. But then again, if I'm stuck with an idiot, they're probably going to enjoy movie 43. Landon asks, what are your thoughts on popular movies being turned into TV shows, like Taken, The Exorcist, Rush Hour, Lethal Weapon, etc.? Now, I think all of those are horrible ways to just, they're cash grabs. That's what it is. It's just taking good movies and then just trying to make more money off them in really bad TV shows. But there are things like Fargo, Friday Night Lights. Heck, back in the day, I loved Ozzy and Drix. All those TV shows, in my opinion, were great. So it's, it can go either way. Why don't you review comics anymore? Now, I used to do a weekly sort of video where I would talk about all the comics that I picked up during the week. But if you follow comics, you know that one, they're very expensive. And two, it is difficult to follow all of the titles that are coming out weekly and all of the new #1 issues and everything that they start over. So I decided to dedicate more time and focus on movies and that passion, and then having comics sort of be my escape to just be able to enjoy them when I wanted to and not have to read an issue every time it came out and just be able to wait, maybe for the trade back and stuff like that. And also, you know, save money. Is there a movie from last year that you think is very overrated? If there is one from me from last year that I did not enjoy, and that was The Martian, because I don't understand how he got nominated, Matt Damon got nominated for pretty much just doing what YouTube vloggers do on the big screen. Is there a fellow YouTuber that you wish you could meet in person? I'd say that if you keep up with like a personal little group that we have that we're always doing podcasts and, you know, hangouts with, all of those. I'm not going to name them all because I'll probably forget somebody and then they'd be like, oh, you forgot me, we're not cool anymore, and then I have a civil war between us. But yeah, there's that specific group that you see in my podcast that you'll see more over on the AtZ Flicks Channel, but I'd love to meet all of those guys. The Law No Mass, if you could choose 3 celebrities to be on an episode of Cineclash, who would you pick? I guess this would be a quick time to say that Cineclash is moving over to AtZ Flicks, and that's the movie trivia show that you can follow weekly and have your favorite YouTubers compete on. But if we're talking celebrities, I would want people who know their stuff. So I would say Patton Oswalt, since I know he's a big cinephile. I would say Leonardo DiCaprio, because I know he's a big nerd as well and has collectibles. And then Nicolas Cage, just to spice things up and get them views. Jonathan Perry asks, would you ever consider reviewing indie movies upon request, like some classic films from the 90s or 80s? Now, I always love getting new recommendations for movies, and I always say, yo, send them in. You know, I've seen friends of mine do little lists on Letterboxd, and I think that's an awesome way to keep up with a watch list. I personally do mine on IMDb, but I'm always curious to know what requests you guys have. The only reason I don't do videos on requests is mainly because it can get really backed up, or if I do get overloaded with requests, it's then picking some people's over others, or it's reviewing a movie and not liking it the same way that the person who reviewed it. But I am starting, like I mentioned before, AtZ Flicks is going to be more of a podcast type channel where it's more interaction with you guys, and, you know, definitely request us there, and when I watch them, I'll bring them up during the podcasts that we do over there. I got a couple questions asking me that if I had a DeLorean or Ellen Page and could just go back to a specific movie and how they were filming it, or a specific scene, what would it be? And for me, you know, I'd love to be on the sets of many movies, but, you know, it's the movie magic that's happening, so it's not going to look as cool as you think it does. So I would love to go back to the alien chestbuster scene in Alien, and where nobody knew that was going to happen. So to see everybody's reaction, those are the type of moments that I would love to be on set, to just see everybody freak out. Elias asks, what movie franchise do you think would be a great animated series? Now, we all know Batman already has the best animated series, and a lot of franchises do have animated series already, but if I were to pick one franchise, I would say Child's Play, because that would be super funny when the parents buy the DVD or rent it and they realize it's Chucky. What's your favorite foreign film? Yo, now this is a difficult question, because what we're doing is, that's all these movies from different countries. I mean, there is stuff like that I've written down here. I love the Raid films, but I mean, you have Kurosawa, who has Rashomon, personally is my favorite one from his. You have Italian films like Cinema Paradiso. You have Argentina's The Secret in Their Eyes. There's Old Boy. Recently, I've been a big fan of Asghar Farhadi, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He did movies like The Past, which is phenomenal, and The Separation, and there's just so many foreign films that are out there. All those that I mentioned, go watch those. Hopefully you enjoy them. And really, if you have trouble with subtitles, get over that, because there are so many great films that are out there that you're missing out, that even the remakes, they just don't capture the culture of all of these other societies that are out there. But if I had to pick one, I'll say Borat. Alex asks, who's your favorite uncle? Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu. My good buds over at 8-Bit Brigade ask, are there any films in recent memory that were physically difficult for you to sit through? For me, it's been 12 Years a Slave. I know, and I'm one of those people who feel that the race issue is sometimes overdone, but that movie I thought was an absolute masterpiece. Every time I watch it, I know some people don't like it, think it's too overbearing, too pretentious. I think it's phenomenal. Other movies would be stuff like Compliance or the Stanford Prison Experiment, that really just cover human nature and show you how people can be super submissive and just let things happen, sort of like what Spotlight did this past year. Pros Before Hose 8 asks, are you doing a top 10 best or underrated of 2015? I have a Letterboxd account. You can go check out the stuff that I have there, but of course, you know, I'll let you know. I thought the best movie that came out last year was Steve Jobs. I would argue and fight for it, even though it had what people call a cliche happy ending. I think it was the best crafted film last year. my favorite, the one that I watched the most, was Creed. I had a bunch of questions pretty much asking me what I'm pursuing as a career in film, my YouTube goals and stuff like that, and I'll say that I personally want to be a director. I love that aspect of it. I know a lot of people say, yeah, I want to be the director and actor, but I truly love the work and all the tediousness that goes behind it, and for me, the YouTube channel has been a way for me to just look at movies, learn from them, and then document what I have to say and see if there are other people out there who like what I have to say or can connect and have the same pretty much taste that I have with films, and that way I build an audience with you guys. So when I make a movie, which trust me, it's super expensive and takes a while, I have an audience of you guys who would love to see what I have to offer and then can judge me. I am Benji asks, what are your top 5 modern romance films? And I would say The Spectacular Now, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind for the critic inside of me, Scott Pilgrim, which is one of the greatest films ever made, A Walk to Remember, I'm not even gonna lie, was the first movie to make me cry. They Came Together is the perfect satire on those, and I'm just gonna add an extra one, and that is The Vow, because that's actually the first movie that my girlfriend and I saw in a theater. How old are you? I am the same age as the title of a popular Taylor Swift song. Top 5 modern horror movies. For me, it'd be You're Next, The Witch, The Others, Identity, and Audition. Not the biggest horror fan, but I really like those psychological thriller type of horrors more than the torture porn that's out there. Do you have a specific movie-going routine? Like, do you only go alone? Do you go with friends? Do you always pay full price? Now, screenings do help with not only seeing movies early, but seeing them for free. But if you're a cinephile and you love going to the theaters, but you think it's too expensive, you need to get MoviePass, because MoviePass covers all the movies that you need to see at a monthly price. I know they're not sponsoring me, but if they did, I'll certainly take that. As far as routine goes, besides the screenings, every Thursday is like movie night for us, where we go out and we watch back-to-back movies as they open. Sometimes I bring my family and friends and buy tickets for them when it's a major movie, but really, since the beginning of when I started this channel, I have seen almost every movie in a theater with my girlfriend. We're the ones who always go and talk about it on the way back in the car. Every movie, we've only missed like 2, I believe, in theaters that we haven't seen together. It's gotten to the point where we don't celebrate our anniversary, we celebrate the release date of the first movie we saw together. Glenn, who I hope isn't in The Walking Dead, asks, I noticed you do many Christian movie reviews, so with that being said, are you a Christian believer? I'll say, yeah, I have a certain faith that, relies on the Bible. Some really want a title for it and say, oh, you're Christian. Some people know me as being Jewish. I just pretty much follow what's in the Bible. I try to study it. I try to pick it apart and understand it. And I usually don't bring religion into movie reviews because, I'm trying to judge the movie as a movie. But I do have another channel that I work on that is more faith related, and you can go check that out if you'd like. Brian asks, how does your faith affect what you watch, and how does it affect the way you discuss movies in general? Like I said, my main focus is just to study movies on this channel, to look at them and not necessarily tell you. That's why I didn't have a rating system for a long time, but then people really wanted it. But I just love discussing movies. I'm no one to tell you, don't go watch this movie or do go watch this movie. I just love picking apart movies and being able to learn things from them, the good and the bad. From my faith perspective, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of horror movies, the satanic type of stuff, and it's like, I'm not setting out to watch Nymphomaniac 1 and 2 for entertainment purposes, but a majority of the movies that I watch, regardless of the content, I'm trying to study them as films and see what I can use in the future for the stories that I want to tell. Also, which video are you most proud of? I would say the 10 Cloverfield Lane video that I recently did, because it used to just be about making reviews and trying to be timely and stuff, and sometimes you don't care about a movie. Nah, I like focusing on topics and movies and explaining them and getting in depth, and Cloverfield is a series now that I truly love, so being able to put my heart and passion into it, and it wasn't so much the views, but the interaction with other Cloverfield lovers, I love that aspect of it. Which one are you most surprised by the number of views? The Inside Out one, I believe that Easter egg video that I did was the first one that really skyrocketed. Which one are you most disappointed by the number of views it has had? If you're a YouTuber, you know that if you work hard on any video and it doesn't go anywhere, which tends to be a lot of them, especially when you start up, those are the worst ones. So yeah, there's a lot of them out there. Rachel asks, if someone asked you for advice on how to make a faith-based film both commercially and critically successful, what would you say? Now, as I did a whole breakdown on the Christian, genre and how it's not really good. But the thing about the Christian genre is that it's not necessarily one type of film. It can be a war movie, a drama, a comedy, anything. Christian genre really just means that it has a specific set of morals. So I think focus less on it feeling like propaganda and just having it be a message pretending to be a movie, Have it actually be a story, a good story with good characters. To be commercially successful, use all that money that you've been making from the past movies, which we all know you've been making money, and get a good actor. Get a good actor that can actually sell your movie. What's your favorite new and classic animated film? Like I said, I love Toy Story. As of recently, if we're going like super new from this past year, I thought Zootopia was a masterpiece. Stephanie asks, how do you feel about the Purge Anarchy movie? Well, I hope it's gonna be good. A clown asks, who's your favorite reactor? Billy. Duran asks, if you could put Chase in any jigsaw trap, which one would it be and why? For me, I'd put him in a room where he has to go from sitting and watching one reactor to another reactor to another reactor, and if he reacts, then he's gotta start all over. What kind of cookie do you enjoy the most? Chocolate chip, but it's gotta be warm and chewy and straight out of the oven. Alex from AP Studios asks, what is your favorite book? Besides the New York Times bestseller, The Bible? I really love Gone Girl. I actually think that the book is way better than the movie, but other books that I've really liked, The Body of Christopher Creed. Back in high school, they made us read it, you know, like before you go to school and you're like, oh, I gotta read all these boring books. That book really got to me. I've been waiting for someone to make a movie for that. If no one does, when I get older, I'll make that movie, but yeah, those books. Oh, also, since we're talking books and I consider graphic novels as books, Why the Last Man is the best graphic novel I have ever read. Francesca asks, at what age did your passion for film start? Back in the day when I was super young, my dad always used to take us to the theater, and what he used to do is we would start off watching one movie together, him, my brother, and I. But he would map out all the showtimes to see where we could sneak in for the next showtime and what we could watch to see multiple movies after only paying one price. And since he was such a good father, he made sure that we weren't watching the rated R movies that he was, so he would sneak into Bad Santa, and that was pretty much the time where Finding Nemo became almost one of my favorite movies because I saw it 7 times in the theater, sometimes by myself. Watching all those movies really created a passion in me to, you know, like films, but it didn't really grow into studying films and really, you know, getting into them until I believe junior or senior year, where I was always going to Blockbuster and they had that deal where you can rent 2 movies, you can go in the morning, watch those 2, you know, bring them back, get some other ones, and I was just always watching everything from the new releases around, that then I started journeying into, you know, the 5-day releases, all the older movies that people weren't really into, but I compiled this major list from forums, IMDb, the people there. There was a week where I saw Memento, I saw The Prestige, I saw 12 Angry Men, I saw all of these different movies that impacted me so much because I realized movies don't need to have those filler scenes. Everything can be crafted perfectly and engage you throughout the whole runtime. And I just started studying film, I enjoyed it, and since then, you know, it's just been a passion of mine and why I want to be a filmmaker. She also asks, who is the classiest person you've ever met? Chase. If you had to choose, what is the best Christian film you've ever seen? I'm gonna go with a more recent one. I'm not saying that it's the best, but I thought it was really good. And it's a movie called Noble, based off of the real life story of a woman named Christina Noble. And that movie was phenomenal. Rob the movie reviewer says, I can't think of anything to ask you. I have 2 weeks to ask you. Hopefully I'll figure out something to ask you. You dropped the ball, Rob. Dylan asks, what is your favorite classic Liam Neeson movie? Schindler's List. Who do you prefer, Cate Blanchett or Jennifer Lawrence? Tilda Swinton. Finally, what do you think it will take for Sam Mendes to direct another 007 film? Probably for The Sky to Fall, because I'm pretty sure he's done and just wants to move on to other things. Jordan asks, do you go to press screenings or just normal advanced screenings? I've noticed that in Chicago, as opposed to a lot of other places, a lot of the press and audience screenings are together. Like, they just reserve 2 seats for the press, and I go there as just an audience member. I'm not a official critic, so when I'm there, I have had moments where Richard Roper is just like sitting right there in front of me, and it's like, hey, look, that's all the official critics. Ian asks, since you started your website, have you thought about putting your written reviews to be certified by Rotten Tomatoes? And I would say, yeah, that'd be awesome. What other critics do you like reading reviews for that aren't YouTube movie reviewers? Now, if we're talking about written reviews, there's a certain person called Movie Crit Hulk or something like that. I love the way he reviews movies because even when he hates on a movie, he like tries to look at the good parts of it. He writes like the Hulk. That's probably the guy that I read the most. The captain asks, I've really wanted to know this for a while. What are your thoughts on Abraham Lincoln's assassination? It's the reason why I always ask for a table and not a booth everywhere I go. Daniel Wilson asks, when are you gonna post real content? Hello, darkness, my old friend. Jasmine asks, will you go to prom with me? I would. Pac-Man asks, what's the worst TV show you've ever seen? I think that there's a lot of bad TV shows that I don't like. I don't like The Big Bang Theory. I don't like Two Broke Girls, but those at least have narratives. I hate reality TV. Matthew asks, if you could remake one movie, what would it be and why? Dragon Ball Evolution. I want a Dragon Ball movie because I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z and I would love to actually see a good live action version of it. What TV show would you like to see turned into a movie? Again, I'm going to say Dragon Ball into a good movie. With all these cinematic universes coming out of the woodwork, do you think at some point we'll see a cinematic universe where all movies are connected? This is what I have to say about that. It's going into spoiler territory. There's a theory with Inception that dreams are like movies or that movies are like dreams, and I believe that there's a way you can source code a type of story arc in where it's not a person jumping to parallel dimensions of this movie universe or just jumping in time, but they can jump into different movies, and people can have all of these movies just be, you know, different alternate dimensions where these stories are being told, and sort of like at the end of Interstellar, it's like a library of movies that you can jump into any movie you would like. I don't know, it's like a Cabin in the Woods type of thing. I actually think if someone made that, they would need to get a lot of rights, but it would be freaking awesome. If you had to do rap battles with the YouTube film community, who do you think you could take down very easily, and who would you be intimidated by? Turns out Ram is a Hollywood era, but yeah, I'm not scared about taking this rapper down. I will say Tim, though, might have me with that screamo and just catch me off guard. Speaking of Tim, he asks us, show us the rest of your room. Well, you know, it's just a little nice. What are some comics you're currently reading? Now, of course, I'm rereading Civil War, I'm rereading Age of Apocalypse as well, but in terms of like single issues, the ones that I am still catching up on, anything with my two favorite writers, and that is Scott Snyder, who's done Batman, he's done American Vampire, but my favorite one is Brian K. Vaughan, and so far, he's got this new one called The Private Eye that just came out. This thing is sick. I recommend reading it, and anything else he does. He's done Saga, and like I mentioned, Y the Last Man, which is my favorite graphic novel of all time, and you should read it. Pet peeves in movie theaters. Oh, my buddy Ash from the Captain Vita Show did a 2-part video series. I'll post it up here so you can go watch it, but I have been wanting to do one for such a long time, and it'll eventually come because I have so many pet peeves at the movie theaters. When you're paying so much for a ticket, even though I have MoviePass, to go and watch a movie, and people are just adding their own commentary like they're the director, eating things like out of a tinfoil bag that came out of James and the Giant Peach, answering phone calls, and even worse lately, people just straight up Snapchatting during a movie. There's a lot of things that tick me off when people try to ruin my movie experience. Hidden talents or other hobbies? Well, other than movies, I don't really know. Thank you guys for checking out this video and asking some awesome questions. I really appreciate it, and a big shout out especially to my Patreon supporters who make this possible on a monthly basis. And thank you for you guys who don't need to support money but just help me out by watching the videos, by spreading the word, by commenting, and just building this AtZ relationship for films that we have here. I appreciate all of you who take the time to watch and interact with me on the videos that I make, and I have a lot more in store for you guys. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.